Hi everyone. Ever since Tom Brier's accident, every time I post any video on YouTube, even one that's not even related to music, people are asking, how's Tom doing? Any updates? Um, until now, I'd only been able to retell stories that I'd heard from other people. I had never actually had a chance to see Tom. I finally was able to see Tom last weekend, a week ago, during the West Coast Ragtime Festival. I and many other musicians went to see him, and you know, most of the people that you've seen on my channel actually. And so I thought it'd give you a personal account of what state Tom is in. Um, he's not moving his right side. His family said that they'd seen him move his right side. Maybe he did, once or twice, but not when we were there. In fact, at one point, we didn't notice that his arm was rubbing against his wheelchair, and he never motioned anything with his left hand like he was in any kind of discomfort. So yeah, I don't think there's much going on the right side. He also never moved his eyes when we were there, as far as I could see. He was just eyes wide open, staring into space. Of course, his glasses were lost in the accident, so he really can't see much of anything. But he was just kind of staring straight ahead. But he is in there. He did respond to things. For example, Max Keenlyside deliberately tested Tom by saying something very deadpan. Max is known, like Tom, for his transcriptions of old recordings. And Max sells his transcriptions and so forth. And he said to Tom, Tom, we really need you to come back because I'm stealing your transcriptions. Just very flat, deadpan like that. And Tom, I thought there was a little bit of reaction there, like he was laughing at that, like he understood that Max was joking around. And I also got a big reaction when I told him a story about this magazine that I got. This is the November 1925 issue of Melody magazine for the photoplay musician, what we now know as a silent film accompanist. And I didn't know if it was particularly valuable or worth anything or any particular interest. So I showed it to our friend Frederick Hodges, who's the foremost silent film accompanist today, and said, Frederick, can you tell me anything about this? And Frederick's response was, how much do you want for it? Frederick actually collects this magazine apparently and doesn't have this issue. And Tom, being a sheet music collector who is always, in conversation with other sheet music collectors about how much do you want this, how much do you want for this, I want this. He's always buying music. I thought that he would find that particularly funny. Normally you expect the big belly laugh from Tom, with a story like that. And we got the equivalent of that in his current state. It's a very slow reaction. It's kind of like Flash the Sloth from Zootopia. It's like a very slow but very big, wide mouth, but it was very slow to come. It's a very slow reaction, but he understands and he's there. It just seems like he can't move. It seems like he can think, but he can't really move. However, I did not get a reaction from him on this. I sketched this out about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes when I woke up that morning before going to see Tom. It's a sort of a musical palette. And I said to Tom, when you're able, you can point to chord names, to the Roman numerals. I know you don't like the Roman numerals, Tom, but you can point to these things. I've got suspended 4, flat 5, major 7s, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, root position, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion, all these different things. I didn't mention triplets. I need to make an amendment to this. And I said, well, with this, and our help, you might be able to compose music again. You just point at stuff and we can write stuff out for you. So, because Tom was always writing music. He would write music. He'd take a break from work and write a new piece. He could write stuff off the top of his head. He had perfect pitch. Music was always in his head. He could just write a piece of music. Kylan de Cataldi played one of his more avant-garde pieces, and that story that Tom had given was that he wrote it while waiting for an eBay auction to close. Again, sheet music, buying sheet music. So, we hoped that he'd be able to react to that at some point, but we didn't get any reaction. So I don't know if he understood that, or what was going on there. But he was moving a lot, though, his left arm. And he's always doing this, which is very normal for Tom. He'd always rub his head, rub his beard, rub his head. That's kind of a Tomism. So that was quite normal. And when people started leaving, because they had sets to play, this was during the Ragtime Festival, they kind of, take a half-hour each-way trip to the assisted living facility where Tom was residing, he started rubbing his eyes. So it seemed like maybe he was crying. I didn't see any tears, but it seemed like a crying motion to me. And nobody took his wheelchair. So it was like everybody started leaving. I thought, okay, well, I'll take his wheelchair. And I was still holding these, though. So rather than give them to an able-bodied person, I put them on Tom's chest and said, "You can hold on to these, Tom." And he actually reached and held on to them. He just kind of cupped them like that. So that was good. And that showed an awareness of those things. And when I said my goodbyes, I was one of the last people to say goodbye to him. I mentioned, I'll try to see you again sometime. Of course, now it's the winter time's coming, and it's already snowing over the mountains, so I don't know when I'll be able to make it again. And it looked like he said, yeah. And his nose started running as the last goodbyes going. So I really think he was crying, even if there weren't any tears. But I think he was definitely feeling emotional. So it seems like he's in there. It's just a matter of how much. He certainly understands things that are said to him. But whether he's going to recover enough even to use a palette like this to compose music, or even something to point at words, nobody's even trying that with him yet. But considering that he understands what's said to him, it seems like they should be trying to test his ability to communicate. If you can communicate to him, maybe he can communicate to us. Although hopefully we'll see at least some improvement there. But yeah, this many months after the accident, it would be quite something if he could recover. Hopefully we'll see at least some improvement from where he is now. But it's going to be tough to see if he would ever play again. I mentioned to Tom that Ian Whitcomb was at the festival, and he had had a stroke 4 years ago, hadn't performed at all, and he suddenly got up on stage and after hours and started singing. And I said, Tom, Ian did it. Maybe you can do it. Just don't make us wait 4 years. But yeah, I think of like Michael Schumacher, Formula One driver, after retiring, had a skiing accident. Wasn't going very fast. Was wearing a helmet, but hit his head, and by all accounts, is still in mostly vegetative state 3 years later. But then I also think of Cristiano D'Amata, who was seriously injured when he hit a deer in practice in an Indy car, and 18 months later he was racing again. So, head injuries are a funny thing. So all we can do is keep cheering him on. So everybody just keep cheering him on, and we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully he'll at least be able to communicate with us in some way. Thanks.